You got Stonehenge over here, and some people hit, you know, weird days of the year.
Druids and things, yeah.
Yeah, they're Druids, and they're going out in the black robes, and they're going through all of this hocus pocus, you know. Some of it's satanic.
But go back to the Georgia Guidestones, though.
But we've got our Guidestone. You know, we got our Stonehenge. But I'm looking up there, and it's in our film, Frankenfed, like Frankenstein, Frankenfed, the Federal Reserve. They named it Federal Reserve because people would think, well, it says Federal Reserve, it must be federal, right? No more federal than the Federal Bubble Company, the Federal Laundry, or you know, Federal Toys. I'm looking at this Guidestones, and engraved in stone. In stone. They say that their purpose is to reduce the population of the planet 90%. But now it's even more. It's about 6.5 billion people on the planet. They want to reduce it to 0.5 billion.
And they've actually put this in stone in front of people's eyes.
It's in stone.
It's written in stone.
It's written in stone what they want to do. They want to kill you. They want to control you. They want to take every single thing that you've got away. And great men like you need to replace these rummies and dummies of the BBC. And I want to tell you, on 911, you had a woman reporter. She's standing in front of the camera and she's talking about the North Tower and the South Tower. They went down, and she's talking about a 48-story building, part of the World Trade Center complex, having gone down.
Building 7, yeah.
Building 7. She's there telling you on the BBC that this has gone down. They forgot something. There's a time difference between New York and London.
Reported, I think it was a few minutes, I can't remember how many minutes, but I think there is a DVD available of this actually, where you can clearly see, I think at one point, Building 7's still in the background.
Right.
It's actually in the background. You can see it in the background, and they're reporting that it's collapsed. I mean, to use a very English term, these people really are taking the piss, aren't they, sometimes?
Yes.
You know, they're absolutely outrageously taking the piss.
I mean, you see in the back,
yeah.
You know, right behind the woman, and it's over here. I think it's on the right. Anyhow, it's behind her. You can see Building 7 is there, clearly. And she's got the information from the people who feed you the bullshit, who feed you this crap and pap.
This is why we call the news bullshit time. But the thing is, though, even with that in mind, this message, and I agree with you totally, Anthony.
But what I'm saying on this story, don't stop. We got it. This story. The feed was into the BBC that the building had blown up and gone down. It was still standing. It is a lie. It's indelible. If you get that fact, it can be like a branding iron in the brain that they feed you crap, and you are forced, if you want to watch television, to pay the BBC to be propagandized. They propagandize you with your own money, and that is outrageous. The BBC should be abolished, and we should have people who tell the truth. And you listen to those stations like Theo Chalmers. I did the show over here, the Edge TV. God, they need help because they're telling the truth. They need support because they're telling the truth. The UK column needs to be read, and it needs to be fed out into the public. The discs. Here's one here with this man, Gray and Ian Crane.
That's sitting on the edge.
On the edge.
Yeah.
And you take this disc. Take my tapes too. Take my DVDs. Make copies of them We need to get this out to everyone, because a film can be seen by 1 million before a book can be read by one. And you brought up on the poppy.
Yeah. So I mean, what we're saying, I totally agree with you, Anthony, that what we need to do is actually get this message out. And I've been saying that, you know, for years, same with a lot of other people. Yeah, we can talk about this stuff, we can do that. It needs a movement of people. Nothing is going to happen. A lot of people ask me, oh, well, when's something going to happen? You know, when are people going to start doing something? When is there going to be a unified movement against the current regime? And what I say is that's not going to happen until there is a big enough movement of people, enough people behind this movement that are actually know what's going on. Because, of course, if you've got a lot of people who think the BBC, the British Brainwashing Corporation, you know, are the truth, they trust it, it's only when they turn away from it and they turn in an alternative direction, or they have a broader view, or whatever you want to say, that then we can move forward, then there can be change. So I agree with what you're saying, that we need a plan of how we're going to get this message out.
Well, first of all, if you back there in the end of the room, if you're forced to pay for something that you don't want, if you're forced to pay for lies, and you're forbidden from hearing or seeing the truth, that's robbery. It's theft. It's brain theft. They're stealing input of truth into your brain. They're going after your children's brains. They're going after your children's bodies. I read in the papers, mandatory, that all of your children are to take injections, vaccinations. With a child, you can scramble the child's brains just like you're scrambling eggs. And you can have an autistic boy or girl grow out from a perfectly normal child because you buy the lie. When the government comes over and knocks on your door, says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. They look at your child. They look at your young girl. They don't want them to think for themselves. What the government pays for, the government controls. They are not teaching your child to think.
I think that'd be a great thing. I mean, personally, I have never, ever paid a TV license in my life, and there's no way now, knowing what I know, obviously, that, you know, obviously, of course I wouldn't pay one. But, I mean, that's a great thing. The more people that stop paying their TV license, and the more people find out about this information, they're more likely to do that. The big question at the moment, because things do seem to be moving on a pace and almost getting quite critical in some aspects, and we'll maybe get onto that later, in terms of the inflation, for example. They're really, I mean, they've robbed people, you know, the pensions and all these kind of things, but the inflation is going to be, potentially a big one, which could include food shortages maybe, you know, if the farmers can't get the money for the fuel, the trucks can't deliver the stuff.
Let me interrupt you. You said could include food shortages. There will be food shortages. Food shortages bring riots. Riots bring martial law. And those goons, those dumbos and numbos that do not think for themselves, they let those who control this government think for them. They do what they're told. They say, go over and beat that little old lady with the butt of your rifle. They're going to go over and beat that old lady with the butt of their rifle. We've got to take back the military. We've got to expose to these crimes to those who are in the military. There's some guys, they mean well. God